all close? Got it all done?
Yeah, they're about to get it. I am so excited.
Good, right?
So when's this thing? Do this thing gonna get signed by the end of the day?
Right.
Yeah, look, you all know this little
So they're going to...
Greenfield's here, and he's going to ask a question.
Yes,
He's not
it's going to be erudite.
Oh, stop it, me.
Yeah, well, you know, as Plato once said, is that what you want? No. Chris, it's a really simple question. We saw months and months of what seemed like a system that was very close to total dysfunctionality. Why should any of us who don't live in Washington, who live in the heartland, like here in Manhattan, why should we have any optimism that the Congress can do this time what it seems to have been incapable of doing time after time?
Well, that's a good question, Jeff. I think members are motivated by a couple things. One is the pressure from the country watching, and exactly that sentiment that you expressed, which is the feeling that Congress can't get anything done. People would like to try and prove them wrong for the good of the country. So every member of the committee, I think, came to this task recognizing the huge obstacles, but they also go home every weekend and hear people saying they want to get it done. Number two, obviously, if we do not get an agreement, you could have an impact in the markets, and that would only make things worse for the economy. And number three, if we don't succeed, of course, you have this sort of Damocles hanging over everyone's head, which includes pretty deep and very arbitrary cuts across the board. So an agreement would be obviously the best solution, but as you indicated, we're trying in a very short time to overcome constraints that the Congress has not been able to overcome in a much longer period of time. But we're working hard to do that.
Mark Halperin.
Congressman, good morning.
Good morning.
We saw some of your colleagues, scores of your colleagues, including a lot of Republicans, write a letter saying we're open to new revenue to fix this. Has that letter, as best you can tell, had any impact on the Republican colleagues you have on the super committee and changed their openness to new revenue as a way to deal with this?
Well, Mark, I hope it will. In other words, I hope they'll get a sense that there are members in the House on the Republican side who understand that you've got to take this balanced approach, like other bipartisan groups have done. Unfortunately, the day after that letter came from a bipartisan group in the House saying you have to have this balanced approach, you had a letter organized by Senator Jim DeMint in the Senate, signed by 33 Republican senators, saying they don't want any net tax revenues on the table. And unfortunately, that was signed by 3 members of the Gang of 6. So these members are getting very mixed signals. We're hoping that at the end of the day, they recognize that this bipartisan group needs to take the same approach as the other bipartisan groups, Simpson, Bowles, Rivlin, Domenici, and take that balanced approach.
But those letters are posing, right? They're posing for their home district. Their home districts, right? Home states?
Absolutely, but they do have, I believe, an impact on what members of the committee think the political traffic will bear in the Congress. But look, everybody's very focused right now on trying to get the job done. But we're hoping that we can accomplish 2 things. One is a piece of this to help get the economy moving again. Because the Congressional Budget Office has pointed out that over 1/3 of the current deficit is because the economy is stagnant.
Right. Hey.
And second, take a balanced approach over the 10 years and beyond, again, along the lines of the frameworks of these bipartisan groups. That makes the most sense. As you indicated, a major obstacle is the willingness of some of our colleagues to close down some of the loopholes, ask some of the folks at the very top maybe to chip in.
Let's move on, Congressman. We've got 87 people at the desk, and they all want to ask a question. John Meacham, perfect backdrop, though, politically, to provide some members cover. Greece.
Right. Exactly.
We're seeing a meltdown in Europe because of debt.
Right.
I think that actually gives them some cover.
Well, it's a question of, and I was going to ask the Congressman, to what extent does the international situation play into these conversations? Do you all say, oh my God, we can't become Greece, and we need to, if we're going to come out of this thing, we have to be fearful, on a human political level, we have to be fearful not just of next cycle, but of 4 years, 6 years out?
Well, I think the situation in Europe with the banking crisis and debt crisis there feeds in 2 ways. One is that what happens there obviously could help weaken our economy today, right now. Which makes it all the more important that we, number one, do something on the jobs front and the economy, and number two, getting back to the earlier question, it would obviously help provide some boost in confidence if we were able to show on a bipartisan basis the ability to get things done. And second, the point you're making, which is yes, on the long term, we need to act now to get our fiscal house in order. Otherwise, you will begin to see the kind of problems that you're seeing creeping in Greece and throughout Europe.
What did you go ahead?
Well,
we can ask about Bill
talks
Clinton.
about acting now. I just want to do a little retrospect. Bill Clinton has a book out. It's in a new book, and he talks about criticizing the current President Obama, saying that he should have increased the debt limit while Democrats controlled Congress.
Should have tackled the debt limit issue when Democrats controlled
Do you think
Congress.
he should have?
I think that's look, we can all look back and engage in Monday morning quarterbacking, but I'm not sure at that point in time you could have gotten agreement on that. What I've heard is in the lame duck session that we should have dealt with this right after the elections, but I'm not sure that our Republican colleagues would have been any bigger mood to do it at that point in time than before. After all, that came right after the midterm elections. You had a lot of these Tea Party candidates that had just been elected. But look, rather than looking back, I do think that if we can do something to get the economy moving again and do something to try and tackle the long-term debt, at least a down payment on that, that would help restore confidence and help around. And you know, what you're asking about today in terms of, you know, that letter, the two letters, the dueling letters, really is the issue we're struggling with, between those who say, look, we're prepared to take a balanced deal, and those who say that they're not.
All right.
Hope
Hey,
you get it done.
Jeff Greenfield, I'm optimistic, and I don't usually get optimistic. I think this committee's going to do something.
I hope you're right.
What do you think?
My optimism level is at historic lows right now.
Okay.
Process, so we'll
All right,
Joe, we're hoping to do a little better than Alabama. Sorry about Alabama.
Oh, my God. Seriously?
Hey, you know what? The
football
Reds
team that has a
I feel
turtle as a mascot? Come on. We only fell to number 3, Chris. We're going to be in the national championship game.
Hey, my Redskins lost too yesterday. It was a bad day in the football.
God, I know. It's a shame.
Chris.
Love you.